6 days after his opening salvo against NFL players in the league over protesting racial injustice during the national anthem, Donald Trump didn't waste another opportunity to weigh in on the controversy. Here's what he had to say to reporters yesterday.
The NFL is in a very bad box. You cannot have people disrespecting our national anthem, our flag, our country, and that's what they're doing. And in my opinion, the NFL has to change. Or you know what's going to happen? Their business is going to go to hell.
And guess what? He also called Jerry Jones 4 times on Monday before they took their knee. What does that actually mean? I tried to tell y'all, don't fall for Jerry Jones' okey doke when he took a knee before the national anthem. And then, of course, when you read his statement after the game, he said he made up his mind he would not criticize Trump. See, some of y'all got played. The Green Bay Packers are asking their fans to join them in a show of unity by locking arms during the national anthem at their game tonight with the Chicago Bears. Here's their statement. Those of us joining arms on Thursday will be different in so many ways, but one thing that binds us together is that we are all individuals who want to help make our society, our country, and our world a better place. We believe that in diversity there can be university intertwined. We represent the many people who help build this country, and we are joining together to show that we are ready to continue to build. Let's work together to build a society that is more fair and just. Okay, I'm sorry, that statement really didn't mean anything to me, considering the fact that the issue is police brutality. What about the shootings of black men in Milwaukee, in Wisconsin? What about the crazy former sheriff David Clark, where 4 people died in his jail? Did the Packers say anything about that? What about the voter ID law in Wisconsin, where upwards of 200,000 people could not vote in last year's election? Are we locking arms over that? A lot of fans are upset by this. Even the Baltimore Ravens anthem singer is part of the fray. Joey Odoms, a combat veteran who met the team's owner while he was stationed in Afghanistan, won a contest a few years ago to become the team's anthem singer. But now, the former member of the Maryland National Guard says he's quitting because he says NFL fans who attack players for protesting don't understand why they are protesting. He posted this on Instagram. He said the Ravens organization has been nice, but the tone actions of a large number of NFL fans in the midst of our country's cultural crises have convinced me that I do not belong there. Someone once told me to always go where you're welcome. Now, here's the deal, folks. There are many people commenting on this, and there was one person who I thought could really put this whole thing in context. She is one of the nation's foremost anti-racism experts, and she really launched this initiative after the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King was killed. Joining us via Skype from Hinton, Ohio, is educator and anti-racism activist Jane Elliott. Jane, you're there in Iowa. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine, but an expert is anybody who's over 50 miles from home. I'm not 50 miles from home, so you can't call me an expert today. And I live in Iowa, not Ohio. People keep trying to get me out of
Same thing next door. All right, Jane.
Yeah, sure, right. It's like calling the Civil War the Civil War when it should have been called uncivil war. Come on. There's no such thing as civil war. There are only uncivil wars in which you kill people.
So, Jay, let's talk about this civil war breaking out with Donald Trump in the country. All these folks are upset. You see these fans booing. You see folks lying on Fox News as usual. It's amazing, again, when you folks, the flag, and the anthem, but they want to ignore the reality of what's happening on the streets of America.
It's not only that they want to ignore the reality about what's happening on the streets of America, they deny that it's happening. Denial is not just a river in Egypt. It is also what white people in this country are about on a daily basis. We have to deny that we're racist. But we have put in place in the White House a man who talks about patriotism. A patriot doesn't dodge the draft. A patriot doesn't refuse to pay the right income tax. A patriot doesn't put in place, in important places, people who are, one of them who has been called, who's been given the Order of Friendship by Putin. This is not a patriot. This is a man who uses the flag to incite and to enrage people. He is in the business of divide and conquer. If you don't understand this, you get caught up in his idiocy. This is a boy grown tall who acts like a boy, and first he whines if he doesn't get what he wants, and then he throws a fit. The behavior that he exhibited last week when he said fire the SOB, that should have told everyone who voted for him that this is not what we want in the president's residence. And it's time to stop calling that building the White House and call it what it is, the president's house.
And when you see fans' reaction, and again, demanding people by saying that, well, you know, our soldiers fought for freedom, but isn't that the very freedom they fought for? I pull up a video up. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Absolutely it is. We have the right, we have freedom of speech in this country, but our present group who are running this show don't want us to have freedom. They want us to walk lockstep toward what is now not going to be a democracy. Mr. Trump is a man who hired somebody as an advisor who says we have to deconstruct this government. Deconstruct this government is what this man is about, and he will do whatever he has to do, whatever he is advised by his advisors to do. And this is what's going on now. Your attention is being taken away from what is going to happen as this investigation goes on. We haven't talked about the investigation in Russia for a whole 2 weeks because our attention is being diverted to what he wants to talk about.
Jane, you also have folks who are living just in denial in terms of American history. I'm going to pull this up. Literally, I was watching this here. So last night on Sean Hannity's show, now we know he'll lie in a heartbeat. I mean, it's not even close. He'll lie in a heartbeat. So, Shelley, are you seeing this right now? Okay, I'm going to try to pull it up here. So you had Seb Gorka, all these folks who are talking about how we're all one. You have the Green Bay Packers who are sitting here talking about we need to have, let's all link arms, and it's about unity and diversity. I've always said this here, Americans, white Americans, have never liked protests. Frank Luntz, the pollster, last night tweeted a poll that showed 61% of Americans were against the Freedom Riders. White America does not want to have to come to face with protest, with racism and bigotry. So they say, well, no, can we just all unify and get along, and y'all stop bringing that stuff up?
Well, you see, if it didn't happen, we wouldn't have to bring it up. If there wasn't racism in this country, we wouldn't have to talk about it. If we would stop teaching the lie in the school, we wouldn't have to talk about it. Education in this country is not education. It is indoctrination. We keep you in school until you're 18. It takes us that long to teach you how to be a really good American and to believe the lie. White people are scared right now in this country because they know the demographics that say that within 30 years, white people will be in a numerical minority. They do not want to think about what's going to happen to them when they no longer are in the majority in this country, and it is scaring them to death. That's the reason for talking about a wall, to keep those brown people out who reproduce too rapidly, according to Mr. Trump. That's the reason for the closing Planned Parenthood clinics in white areas, but not in black areas. That's the reason that now, in 1987, 60% of the fetuses that were aborted every year were white. Now, 39% of the fetuses that are aborted are white, and 61% of those fetuses are fetuses of color. All of this is planned to keep white people in place and black people in their place. If you think this isn't racism, you need to take another look.
I have been saying the same thing, Jane, that white fear is what is driving this, and that is this fear of losing power.
White people are scared to death. Yeah, and whenever I give a speech, somebody will say, well, if they get power, aren't they going to want to treat us the way we've treated them? Which says, we know how we've treated them. And I say to them, if you want to be treated fairly in the future, treat people fairly in the present. What you do in the present constructs the future. For the love of heaven, use your heads. But we are trying not to use our heads. And we are following this man like the Pied Piper. He is doing these things deliberately to keep attention away from what the other things he's doing. People aren't paying attention. You need to read Naomi Klein's book, No Is Not Enough. Everybody needs to read that today. And those of you who haven't read The Myth of Race by Robert Wald Sussman had better get it and read it. This idea of 2 or 3 different races is a lie. There's only one race. It's the human race. And we're all members of that race. This is an idea whose time has come. And nothing is going to be able to stop it. You and I are cousins, whether you like it or not. Now, Cousin Roland, you may not like that, but that's the way it is. We are all members of the same race.
Jane, do you believe that the NFL players, by following Trump down this rabbit hole, by following the owners down this rabbit hole, or playing right into the game. Eric Reed, the San Francisco 49ers, talked about this yesterday. He said, we've lost focus of what this is about. So what would you advise the players and activists and supporters to do to move this back onto the issue that they care about?
I would go on the net and find Indivisible. And I would get that 27 pages, download the things that you can do to make a difference. I would get on Facebook, which I'm not on Facebook because I don't trust Facebook, but I would get on the place where you can get daily action. And I would do what they suggest every day. Individuals have to put a stop to this mess. One person can make a difference. And if you don't believe that, Donald Trump is just one person, and look at the difference he's making in this country. Every single human being in this country needs to get off their polyunsaturated fatty acids and do something about this. And just saying no and changing the channel won't do it. We have to change our behaviors. We have to refuse to allow this person, this little boy, to run our lives, and that's what's happening right now. And we're in big trouble. I haven't seen anything this ugly since the Nazis were in power. And I know people are going to say, oh my goodness, this isn't about Nazis. Yes, it is. When you control people's minds, yes, it is. And all our minds are being controlled by this fool and his misbehavior.
Jane, why won't Fox News or some of the other networks call you for your analysis?
Why won't what?
Why won't Fox News or some of the other networks call you for your analysis on this?
Because they don't want to lose their sponsors. And they would lose their sponsors in a hurry. When you have some little old white woman calling these big, powerful men, big pink men, they don't like that. And they don't like to hear the truth. Nobody wants people to read the racial conditioning of our children. Nobody wants to have people read that book because it says, here's the way it is, folks. This is what's happening. And if you haven't read this little book on tyranny by Timothy Snyder, you better get it and read it, because it is absolutely remarkable in what it says about what this man is doing. You've got to get this book. It's 126 pages of brilliance.
Jane, you and I were at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor several months ago. I've already told my folks to pull that video, and so we're going to break that apart and run it over several days so folks can see how much fun you and I had talking about race and reality in America.
I would like to have them watch the film, The Eye of the Storm, and you can watch it on YouTube, in which I put a group of little white third graders through an exercise in discrimination based on eye color and relate to what those little white kids are going through, and then apply that to what people of color go through in this country on a daily basis.
Well, I'll do
this is ridiculous.
So now is that your film?
It's a film that was made in my classroom, and this is ridiculous because it was made in my classroom about 50 years ago.
Okay, and so here's the deal. So how about this here? So why don't I, so if you give us permission, we can actually run some of that too on the air.
I would think that would, hey, it's all over YouTube.
All right, we'll chase it down.
You'd have no problem. I hope you do. It's an extremely important picture of what it's like to be judged unfairly on the basis of physical characteristics over which you have no control. I watched children who couldn't read become readers on the day they were on the top. I watched children who were brilliant become unable to perform academically on the day they were on the bottom. If I can do that, if I can change a child's brain in half an hour, what do you think we can do to children of color when we do this exercise with them based on skin color all day, every day? And that's what we're doing.
Jane Elliott, always good to see you in Iowa.
In Iowa, thank you very much.
All right, Jane, take care. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right, our panel, A. Scott Bowles, the legal analyst, chairman of the National Bar Association, PAC, Dr. Julian Malveaux, economist and president emerita at Bailey College and host of It's Personal with Dr. J podcast, Kenneth McClendon, host of the Exceptional Conservative Show. Well, your thoughts on what Jane had to say?
She was absolutely brilliant. She nailed it. And I saw the film that she did.
Eye of the Storm.
Yes, and it really, it's so interesting that just the perception that people are unequal makes them behave unequal. The perception that people are less than makes them behave as if they're less than. And this is what our young people are being essentially assaulted with every day in the classroom. And so right on to the folks who have taken to their knees, put their fists up in the air and said, we're not going to put up with this. It's not about the American flag, although Fannie Lou Hamer did say this flag is drenched in blood. But it's not just about the flag. It's about, as you said, the police killings. We've gotten away from that, and we've let the orange orangutan move us away from that with his rhetoric that has gone unchecked.
Scott?
And the stress of being black or brown in America is underreported and underanalyzed, whether it was the 40s, 50s, 60s, or now. I think the most dynamic thing that Jane said was white America being in denial of this, of that racism and classism still exist. And the other thing is that's missing from our dialogue is race reconciliation discussions, where both black people and white people have to get comfortable with the race question. White people are uncomfortable with it. But until you have that race reconciliation discussion, honest, thoughtful, between all parties, all sides, we're going to continue to be in denial and want to move forward without that reconciliation.
Kenneth?
As for me, I really appreciated Jane Elliott's remarks regarding the fact that we are one race. We are a human race. In addition, but before I go on, I do want to wish my mom a happy 16th birthday, Mom. Love you.
Your mama's 16?
She's 16 years old to this day.
Okay.
That's as far as I know, and I don't ask.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you.
Your mama like, you know I ain't 16. Go ahead.
However, one nation under God, indivisible. When we're there on that battlefield, the football field, we're one in that particular moment. When we are pledging allegiance, when we're singing the national anthem.
But how are we one? How are you saying we're one on that football field as if what took place right before the anthem, what takes place right after the anthem, and we're not one in the press box where it's virtually white? We're not one.
Well, you're not one. Well, you're not one when it comes to the ownership. Name me one black owner.
Hold up.
So,
And that's the point. That's the point I was about to make.
Right.
And so when you say we're one, that somehow denies the reality.
It doesn't
of what is
deny the
happening
reality.
even in the stadium.
It never denies the reality that we are always pursuing the perfect. We are an imperfect nation.
No, we are. They aren't.
I disagree with you. There are always individuals across.
Give us some evidence that they're pursuing perfection. Give us some evidence that actually these people are fighting to diminish. When you say one nation under God, we don't have one economy. We have two different unemployment rates. We have two different sets of health statistics. Everything is different, with black being behind. Give me one piece of evidence that these people and that person in the White House are doing anything to make us one. To do as.
Go ahead.
Firstly, I believe the tax reform that's coming out to lower taxes so that people can create jobs, employ more people, make more profit. You may not appreciate what I'm saying to you, but it's, hey, that's
Go ahead. Oh, wait. Go finish.
Well, in my retort, what I'm saying to you all is in that moment in which we're all together in that stadium, there is a moment of appreciation, not only for the men and women who have passed away, but who have served in our country. And we are representing in that particular moment an opportunity for us to come.
One second. But let me make this perfectly clear.
Yes.
The national anthem and the flag is not reserved for those in the military. That is a nation's national anthem. It is not reserved for them. I said yesterday, every branch of the military, they have their own song.
Yes, they do.
So how is that their song? And this is the problem. This is how the game that we play. We say, oh, this is for the military and the first responders. No, it's not. Because
it's not just for
one second. But the point is this here. What they're doing is not about the national anthem. It's not about the flag. It is a raising the issue of police brutality, because every time a cop beats or kills someone, there is an American flag patch on their shoulder. They literally are doing it under the color of the law and under that same flag. So when people say,
so why don't we take the knee?
Our blood flowing, one second, we say our blood flowing, you're right. Our blood is flowing. And when you say take a knee, there are knees in the back of black men every day that the same folks in the stadium want to deny.
There are still knees in the backs of whites. 4 times as many whites get killed.
So
in
why
this particular stadium.
why won't whites stand up and say anything?
Blacks take the knee for those whites.
Actually, one second. First of all, black folks have done that. Black folks, when we change the law, it benefits everybody, which we all know. But also, white folks need to stand up as well when they're being impacted. Hold tight 1 second.
Weekdays on TV One.
I will never lie to you.
Oh my God.
Roland Martin.
He doesn't want to talk to us. He wants to ignore us.
Uncensored.
Hell no. That ain't gonna cut it, boo.
Unapologetic.
No, that is fundamentally false. You are wrong.
Unfiltered.
He wants an America where we all look alike. He ain't talking about black people.
Unrelenting.
You better go work out, because you got a fight on your hands.
NewsOne Now with Roland Martin. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on TV One.